But yeah, I'm working on Project Doorway. I've just done a big project for a TV show. I can't name the TV show.
Okay.
But it's the biggest in America. It's usually on Netflix.
Encounters with Steven Spielberg.
It's been going for about 30 years, if not a bit longer. It's had several hosts to it. And it covers...
Gosh, you've got my brain, like...
Yeah, it covers the...
Cosmos?
It covers UFOs, it covers the paranormal, it even covers missing people.
Oh,
well.
unsolved mysteries?
Mysteries.
But I can't tell you what the name of the show is.
But we can infer.
That artificial intelligence, the rise of general artificial intelligence, or the singularity where AI becomes conscious of itself, do you believe that AI is, say, a gift from the phenomena, or would AI necessarily help us to understand and help us to figure out what it is we're exactly dealing with?
Well, after tonight and what I've said to you isn't scary enough. AI tops it all.
Okay.
It really
what do you mean?
Dun, dun, dun.
Can you imagine driving the most deadliest weapon on the planet, and yeah, you've just given it an open cockpit for something?
Yeah.
That's what AI is. How many times do we have to go back into the past and say, well, do you know what? There's evidence of ghosts in the machine. There's evidence of influence through electronics. It manipulates the physics and the electronics of everything. Do you know the warheads at Maelstrom base?
Yeah.
Yes.
When they took those warheads off, you know what they found? They found wires and things yanked out, pulled apart, physical. Wow. Nothing could get in there. There's no doorway on those.
No.
Nothing could have gone in there to physically do that, and yet they were destroyed inside, physically, by the phenomena.
And what about the case in Russia where
they turned them on?
Turned on the warheads?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They turned them off as well. They turned them on, they turned them off. You know, they like
shot him out of space, yeah.
Yeah, just showing that they can do it.
Yeah, we're the ones in charge. It's just a demonstration of force. That's all.
I've always said that, yeah.
It's the same thing that happened on Skinwalker Ranch with the telescope, right? They did an experiment where they were trying to look at the spot above the triangle, and they were following the stars, you know, as it went over the spot. And in the program, the star was not there, right? Until it got past the spot in the sky where the anomaly was, and then it came back. That's crazy.
Well, I know this because I've seen them do this stuff. But the fact is that it starts to get mind bending that you don't realize that anything in our environment can be manipulated by them.
Yeah.
You have no control. We can't stop it. We can't drop this bombshell, disclosure on people. At the end of the day, you know, they've got governance over us and have on for a long, long time. I mean, we're just a small snippet of 60, 70, 80 years. It's nothing, you know, and we're going to come along and see if we can solve it. We've got no chance. You know, the fact is that they're always one step ahead. They know what we think. They know what we're going to do before they even do it, before we even think it sometimes, because we go through history repeating ourselves. You know, and they know that. The thing is that they've seen us come, they've seen us go, they've manipulated, they've influenced. They've made it look like this biblical influence. Flaming shields came down and helped great Alexander and the Alexander the Great besiege a city by firing pencil beam lights down at them 50-foot walls like Jericho to disintegrate them, allowing him to besiege the city. It was a work of God, hence reference with wings on his head or horns, which he has. Same for Moses. Moses was a worker of God. That's why he's presented with horns. You look at references of Moses, statues, glass pictures of him, paintings, all horns. He's a worker of God. It's higher than the halo. A worker of God, a worker of the deity. And the thing is that, you know, it wasn't always love and light. Deity wanted to kill Moses' brother. He pleaded for him. Please don't smite my brother, just because he went and worshipped a cow.
Yeah.
God wanted to destroy him. You know,
even the miracle of Fatima.
The Fatima's been twisted into a biblical thing. It was
approved
a UFO
by the church.
Yeah, UFO incident.
Okay.
And reoccurrence of that incident took place in front of 70,000 people and 3 running video cameras about the Vatican. And look, just
Reoccurrence.
you know
What was this
is
incident?
what it does. The holy, they've turned it into a holy thing. It was not holy. It was never the presence of Mary or an angel. If you look at Lourdes, how many people go there and give their souls to this phenomena? Do you know what the original information was from the sighting of that thing in the cave?
No.
It's exactly that. It said that thing.
That thing.
That thing.
Communicated with them. That thing was what was referenced. Not Mary, not an angel.
Oh, wow.
So a religious connotation was imposed upon this story.
Exactly. And it happens all over the world. Holy caves. You know, it happens all over the world. They keep doing it. Turn it. But what did he do? How many people go to Lourdes now? You know, there's thousands of people every day go there from all over the world.
Wow.
The fact is it's got its flock. It's got what it wants. The church do that. You know, the church is an extension of the power of the deity. You know, I don't get into religions too much because religion's lies here.
Yeah.
It's what you consider what is good, what is bad, what is the right thing to do. That's where religion lies.
Right.
That's it. Right here.
Right.
Not in writings, not in words, not in people's ideas.
It's all in here.
No, it's all inside.
Right.
Absolutely. And the thing is that anybody who knows it will feel it. And the thing is when it comes to instantly knowing something, it's like I taste of the lemon, you never forget the taste. If you go to Lourdes, if you witness phenomena, you'll feel the undertone there. And you'll know it's not all love and light there. You don't get positive feelings there. It's an illusion. And this happens all over the world. I've got a great big list of all the holy caves and holy places where, you know, they're clever. The phenomenon is very clever. It knows how it can manipulate us through our beliefs. You know, Sixburg Castle in 1200 and something it was. The Saxons were invading France, this castle, and they almost did it. If it wasn't for 2 UFOs that came down, and what did it do? They both decided to fly over to the local church, had a crucifix on top, and illuminate it. And the Saxons thought, oh my God, the gods are here to protect them, and they ran off and stopped the siege from happening. Isn't that clever? Using our own beliefs.
Yeah.
So how do you continue to study this phenomenon with all these experiments and all these teams and all these devices to measure gravity and all that, knowing or believing that there's this trickster element to it that you're never going to get ahead of because it's always going to throw the monkey wrench in and give you a curveball? How do you continue studying it knowing that?
That's a good question. And the thing is, I don't take anything verbatim. I mean, it's just, I always consider that I don't trust them, and they know I don't trust them.
Okay.
I might tell you what they might say, but I always come at the end of it and say, but it could all be deceptive. And take
it could be
to take down the wrong path, all purposely for me to get the information, to deliver the information which is wrong.
So you take it with a grain of salt, knowing that it could just be what they're wanting you to have, right?
I don't count on anything that they tell me anymore.
Okay.
I count on the evidence of the research, such as utilizing equipment, looking at the data. You know, gravitational anomalies are occurring, magnetic anomalies occurring, negative regions are utilized by, you know, certain parties. You know, I look at the evidence and I gather the information pertaining to which direction I'm going.
Okay.
Such as connections between paranormal and ufological, the undertones to the source, the decompartmentalization process which needs to be required. I go down that path because it's the only way we're going to advance the subject. We've got to move on. Another photograph and another sighting and another video isn't going to cut it anymore. It's just another stone to the mountain we've got. We're not getting anywhere, but that's where they want us to stay. You know, I mean, it's all about just gathering photographic data and reports and and images back then. But no, it's not anymore. That's old school. You can stay in there. I don't need it anymore. I've got plenty of them. I get 600 of them a day sent to me. I want to find out what's going on. And to do that, I've got to utilize people in the same research because I can't do it all single-handedly. It's just so much work.
Sure.
I have to travel the world because I've got to be on site, on location at the time of certain geological events happening, where the phenomena will manifest. Sometimes I've got to be, all I've got is longitude, latitude. I haven't got a clue what's even there sometimes. I end up in jungles, I end up in deserts, I end up in mountains. I end up in someone's backyard, believe it or not. I just have to follow longitude, latitudes. And when phenomena presents itself, I know where it is again. We're bang on key. And the thing is that we're not the only ones that know this. The government know this. The government know that there's these undertones. The government know that there's intelligences, which is tied into the paranormal. This is why you got Leslie Keane coming forward now and saying, hey guys, you know, it's paranormal as well as supernatural in the UFO stuff. That's why you got NASA saying, oh, well, you know what, it's not extraterrestrials. There's no evidence of that. Yeah, well, that's right, because the sightings now are occurring around the planet.
Yeah.
It's like every 15, 20 seconds a UFO seen. Well, hang on a second, that's multiple thousands of UFOs seen every day around the world. Where are they all coming from? Well, there's no superhighway traffic going backwards and forwards to Earth. Yes, we get some bits, but there's no superhighway.
Mr. Mera, do you believe that the phenomena, these sightings, these reports, do you feel based off of the data, or do you ascertain based off of the data, that there is an increase of the preponderance of these things manifesting, or has it been at a consistent rate, but maybe because we have technology and camera phones and internet and stuff, we're being, I mean, what do you believe the degree of
stayed the same?
Has it stayed the same?
Yeah, it's just our awareness that's increased.
The processes of our gathering data is increased.
That's it.
The processing outlet to report has increased. So now we get more reports and more data coming through, and we think we've got more phenomena. No, phenomena has always been there with the same old undertone all the time. It's just that us have changed.
Okay.
You know, you go back in time, it gets less and less. And that's only because the reach out of dispersing such phenomena was difficult. You can't just spread it around. I can type something and go around the world and back within seconds.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your own community 1,000 years ago, you're lucky to get out from 800 people anywhere. You know, this is the problem. But that phenomenon is strife everywhere in every culture. Every culture, all you've got to do is go back in time and look, and you'll see. Why are they all talking about the same undertones there? Deities. Why are they all talking about this, that, and the other? Why do they all follow the same path? Why do they all have the same ideas? Why were they all doing the same thing? That's because they're all communicating with the source. That's as simply it at the end of the day. And that source is the same source as it is today, but it's changed and evolved, and you know, and it presents itself in it. I reckon over the next probably 20, 30 years, we're going to see the demise of the grey into something else.
Okay.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So with everything that you've said, and with your views on how this phenomena interacts with everybody, and taking the state of the world today, what would you say your greatest hope for the future of humanity is, if you have one?
The greatest hope for humanity? That's a tough question.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Really, because there is so much badness in the world.
Right.
I mean, when you get up in the morning and you feel like you want to disassociate yourself from humanity because you're ashamed, that gets to a serious point. A serious point. We've already passed that point. You know, I don't know. I just see us that we just can't learn. There's something that stops us at limit. You know, we are the most limited creature on the planet in every sense. Insects can see, hear better than us.
Yeah, they can.
You know, all animals can. There's nothing less than us. All right, you might say, oh, well, a slug. Yeah. But a slug lives in a different dimensional world to us. It lives in kind of a two-dimensional world. It doesn't know a future. But in our concept of past, present, and future, three-dimensional into fourth-dimensional, any living insect, creature, animal, we are the most limited. Why is
in
that?
terms of perception, right?
In every sense. You think about it.
Okay.
You think about that, how limited we are. Well, for instance, we see microscopic amounts of light in our vision compared to any other thing on the planet. The same for hearing, our taste, our smell. Even your pet dog can smell 200 times better than you.
Right.
I mean, it's just, they see things that we can't see. They feel things that we can't feel. We used to be like that, but 10 times better in ancient times. But now we're walking blind. We're dumbed. We're dumbed down. We're walking blind, and we are totally immersive in the hands of the phenomena. And why? It's because society wants it that way. There's a hierarchy here that wants to keep us the sheep.
What do you think would happen if we got back to that 10 times better version of ourselves?
Well, when sometimes that happens and one person can gather 100,000 people and get them to jump at the same time, those people aren't around for very long, unfortunately.
Okay.
And it happens. You can see it through society, through the years. Somebody will take them out. If you can get 10,000 people to jump at the same time.
But what about if every human being on the face of this planet came back to that higher state of perception and ability and awareness?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing if we could just switch on one night.
Yeah, that would be.
We're so manipulated by society and the phenomena that it's their job to make sure we're not. And we are living under the conditions that they've taken away your rights. I mean, we have laws here that we can't even grow our own vegetables in our garden. That's how bad it's got, and this is the world we are going to be living in, that we have to rely on the program for everything. And once you have to rely on the program for everything, how do you escape it? How do you get out?
We're slaves to it. We're perpetual slaves.
You induce fear so much that nobody will stand up. The voice doesn't mean anything anymore. There's two people, too fear for it. And this is a society that's controlled very much like the phenomena. Now, don't get me wrong. I've come across people where there have been influenced. I've seen people who have been influenced. I know certain people have been influenced by the phenomena. And
what do you mean? Influenced in a good way, in a bad way?
Sometimes there are attachments which people can get.
Yeah.
Sometimes those attachments are short-lived. Sometimes they're long-lived, and they attach for a long period, even for life in some cases. What happens is that those people start to change subtly. Their ideas, their thoughts, their beliefs, their behaviors, their subtle changes. And then they manifest stronger and stronger to the point where they're not the person they used to think they were. And then they're under the governance of the attachment. And now I've come across people that I know they have an attachment. And I know that whatever that attachment is, knows I know. Because I've whispered something from across a long distant room of 30 feet, and they've turned around and replied to me.
Stop it.
They've turned around and replied to me.
Wow.
And I know, and I do it on purpose sometimes, but I know when I get the reply, because I know how to press the button sometimes.
Okay.
There's certain things that you can do, because you know what, we used to do experiments. I'm used to it, because in some of the experiments, the parapsychological experiments in DVP and intelligent contact, was how to trigger a response. And there's certain things that you can cause a trigger, and you come across going, "Oh, I'm this, and I'm, and I'm that, and you're auntie, and I love you, and everything's nice, and all of that." And then we come in, and then we go through a process of the triggered response, and there's certain things that we can say, which they just can't help themselves. They just go, "Ah, I'm gonna kill you," you know what I mean? And they'll show the real cause. There's a process of what we can do. There's certain things I can say, I'll gain a response, absolutely. From 30 feet away, and whisper it. I know that this has happened on a few occasions. I know that some people have attachments.
Are those attachments able to be removed? Or transmuted?
I believe they can be, yes. And it's a process of doing numerous different things. First, you've got
Is this the same as like a, what's that religion? Exorcism. Thank you. Is it the same? Is it like synonymous?
The exorcism is how you perceive the exorcism. What you see is what you see on television.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been I've only been in part. I've only ever been in one exorcism in my life.
You've been involved in one.
Oh wow.
Well, I was involved in a case that required one. Yes.
That's what I
Okay.
mean. Yeah.
And the Catholic Church came in, a very small priest, three priests, and I was really interested to follow up the investigation. And then when they went upstairs to conduct their first, I said, the first? He said, yeah, there's three that have to take place. I thought, well, only in Hollywood there's only ever one.
Right.
Yeah.
There's three.
Okay.
It's called the Trinity Sacrifice. It's three.
Trinity.
But they won't tell you that on TV in the films. But he, as I went into the room with them, eagerly wanting to find out all the secrets of everything that was going to go on.
Yeah.
The smallest priest, who was the last one into the room, stopped just at the doorway and put his hand on my chest. And he said, "Are you sure you want to come in?" And I went, "Yeah." They said, "Well, if you do," he said, "the devil will always know your name. Are you happy with that?" And I went, "No."
Right.
I didn't go in.
Oh,
Okay.
you didn't? Okay.
I didn't. No, I didn't. And that's
I don't
only
think I
because-
would have went in either.
It's only because a bit unfamiliar ground and knowing what I've experienced, and some of this stuff isn't great, you know. And I've witnessed something where I've been leveled by this phenomenon. Sometimes I've been on the ground. I've been completely leveled by this thing.
What was it that you witnessed that leveled you, that just floored you?
It was an entity of some sort. And I don't know what it was. Don't know if it was demonic or what the hell this thing is. It's just a mass as far as I know. But the power this had took me down to my knees and made me lie in complete submission of it.
Wow.
I couldn't move. I was overwhelmed. And it was an experience I never want to have again in my life.
I can't blame
Even
you.
though you had your iron protection,
Yeah, some of these things are just, we eat right through it.
Wow.
Most of them don't. Most of them will just, evade it.
Right.
But some of the power that some of these things have, I couldn't control. It had me. I had to just submit.
what do you pray to, like, a higher power? Like, this is such, like, this is intense. Like, this conversation has got me deeply unsettled, honestly, in my soul.
It's the old way of dealing with bad demons or bad spirits in ancient times is the best way to deal with it, as we do these times. But the problem is it's always dealing with the same thing, the source. The source comes in different levels and different powers, different strengths. And what you did in ancient times, if you had such a problem like that, is that you pray to a deity which is more powerful to come in and kick its ass, basically. That process would work, and then you provide prayer and sacrifice to that deity. In doing so, you bring in the bigger guy to clear out the older guy.
Okay.
And then hope that the bigger guy is manageable. And that does actually work. That process works even in modern times. I wouldn't advise it. I would say deterrents work the best. Failing deterrents are other things, you can do, but it's making it not a nice place for it to be, uncomfortable for it, to the point where I just don't, I'd rather just go somewhere else than the efforts involved in trying to resolve this problem and move on. In other words, only 12% of blessings and exorcisms are successful. Only 12%.
I don't think I knew that statistic.
I didn't know that either.
Only 12% successful. They'll never tell you these. They'll never give you statistics. The Vatican. I know the statistics are. It's 12%.
That's not very high.
It isn't very high.
What deterrents do you use besides iron?
Oh, you can use UV. I mean, iron intake to the body's good. Iron on the skin's very good. I always wear mine. I never part with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It doesn't work underground, unfortunately.
Okay.
But UV, negative phenomena, does not like UV.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't want you to change the belief structure of the individual. So placebos work, believe it or not. I've managed to get rid of problems in homes because simply that the person there has empowered it to go through the power of a placebo. Believe it or not, it would work. The power of belief is such a big thing. If you give in to this phenomenon, it will dominate.
Yeah.
If you stand your ground and say, "Get the hell out and leave me alone," which you should be doing, not cowering in a corner, ringing your family up, saying, "Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do."
Right.
You know, that's defeating. It's being defeated. The thing is, you've got to stand up. You've got to hold your head up high and not be scared. Don't be scared to challenge a phenomenon. I'm not scared to challenge it. I'd love to lay my hands on it sometimes. You know, this is what I'm like. You know, it doesn't scare me. People say, "Oh, Steve, you know, come to this cellar. It's got a demon. Go down in the cellar. Nobody will go down there." And I go down. I spend there all night in a damp, drippy cellar. Nothing happens. You know, but you know what? 9 times out of 10, that's the case. Sometimes I do come across some things, and some things aren't nice. And there are numerous different things I've come across, but most of them are the run of the mill. Most of them are manageable by doing the things of causing them discomfort.
Okay.
You know, because they just don't like it. They don't want to mess about there over too much. Some things are different altogether, and sometimes you're a bit unsure as to what is it I'm dealing with here. But they are intelligent, but they're clever, and they learn, and they listen, and they watch. So if you've got something you don't want them to know, then don't talk about it, and don't try not think about it in the presence of where the experiments are, because they'll get it from you, you know, and that's the biggest problem. So really, I would say there is no good, there is no bad. There is only a gender. Some of this phenomena will interact in a way that you might consider it to be nice and helpful and good. And that's what it wants to do because it wants to learn from you. Some of this phenomena might be nasty. You might consider it to be nasty when they're only really just doing the job, like a policeman or a nurse to a child, you know?
Yeah.
Some of them are really quite nasty and do some horrible things, but they're learning about how you perceive them. How do you perceive pain? I want to know about that. Well, how's it going to do that in a nice way? It can't.
Yeah.
You know? The biggest problem for us is the mutilation phenomenon has been going on for, as far as I know, about 1,800 years. And they still haven't cracked the code about immunity. That's all it's about at the end of the day. And that's why they're taking the blood, that's why they're taking the soft tissue. It's all mucous membrane. During these times of mutilations, the animals are alive. They feel it. A huge amount of pain and fear causes a huge amount of overproduction of cortisone and adrenaline, which is released into the blood and soft tissue of the body. What do they take? They take the soft tissue of the body and they take the blood, because they're trying to figure out how to survive the common cold, simply. That's why the phenomena doesn't, in our environment, it doesn't last for very long. We have to be taken to their environment. It just can't handle it. This is why they're appearing in places and materializing in places with low bacteria.
Positive geomagnetic anomalies. There's a lower preponderance.
We found that out because the hospital doors with a positive magnetic seal around recovery wards. These new doors, and we thought, well, there's only one out, and there's only one there, one out. So you can only get into that room and out that room one way. But it's one door. It's a big door, and it's got this big seal around it, and it's positive magnetic seal around it. And it was like, well, why is that there? And they said, well, it's because bacteria don't like to cross it. It's as simple as that. It's a safe zone. Really? Positive magnetics, bacteria. And I thought, hang on a second. The areas where they're manifesting is low bacterial levels. It's like a guy who's doing an operation does a scrub up. You know, he scrubs up before he goes in and he scrubs up when he leaves. And that's what they do. They're coming in safe areas and they're going out in safe areas. They don't want to take any naughties back with them. They don't want to try and get them when they're here. But at the end of the day, immunity is a big thing for them. And I tell you what, it's took them all these years and they've still not cracked the common cold, I don't think, because they're not in our environment for very long. But what happens one day when they do? Just think that, how long they can be in our environment.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard like Linda Moulton Howe's theory on animal mutilations is that they harvest these soft tissues for a form of sustenance of some kind.
That's all hearsay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where it originally came from, the information. It's all hearsay, substance, sat in liquids and fats and things, and they absorb it through the skin and da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
Okay.
Lovely, great stories, and I've even told Linda I just completely disagree with that.
Okay.
Why do you have to overcomplicate things to say? Sometimes it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It simply is that they're looking at the studying
immunity. Okay.
They're studying at animals. They're out there day in, day out, in the night, in the day. They are more rigid than even us because everything that's in the air they're going to get. They're the hardiest of animals. Their immune system must be through the roof. They've even managed to survive radiation tests over hundreds of years, if you think about it. Well, at least over the last 50, 60, 70 years, you know, high atmospheric launching into the atmosphere of the nuclear bomb test, and, you know.
Yep, Project Starfish.
Project Starfish. You know, it's in the atmospheres. They've been radiated and they're still alive. They're still going. And the thing is, they're the hardiest of animals that live out in the open. And they'll study them. They're trying to figure out immunity.
That's so interesting.
And the thing is, what happens when you get it? And that's the cracked it. And I don't think they can crack it. I don't think they can get suss out how we can manage to survive it all. You know, the amount of diseases and illnesses that passes through the human body, because we're part of this, part of planet Earth, is that, you know, we're just designed to live here. The thing is, when something evades our reality from somewhere else and we try and fit in, one simple breath of fresh air could be poison.
It's reminding me of like War of the Worlds, where the alien falls out of the craft because it just couldn't stand our atmosphere.
We live in we don't realize the world around us. You know, every time we take a breath, we take in at least 400 parasites.
Yeah.
Every time, you know, we do. There's thousands of them that live on us. It's natural. It's not all, it sounds awful, but it's true.
Yeah.
This is living in an invisible world around us, that we're living in a soup of bacteria and bugs and
funguses and spores.
But they work with us. They work for us. They don't turn against us. We're part of a biomechanism of the planet. Something comes from another reality, evades it, invades that biological status. It's got to fit in. It's got to survive. It's a massive, massive undertaking. So much so that's going to require a lot of long and serious study, because not only that, we're evolving and we're changing and new diseases come along. So it's a countless problem.
Interesting. And what do you make of these theories about a human hybridization program where, you know, they take DNA or...
That happens. That actually happens. Yeah, I'm sure that happens. I have enough information to say I believe all the details that I've been given processing on this, that these things do happen. Cross-examinations, following genetic lines, hybrid phenomena. I mean, but you know what? It's not new. The source has been doing this right from the beginning. We've been tampered, the human body's tampered with. Look, what you've got to do is look at chromosome 2. And you go, well, hang on a second. What's the last time we saw genes connected like this? Oh, yeah, it was Dolly the sheep. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she was manufactured and cloned by us. You know, we are byproducts of the science table, you know, and what we've done is genetically passed that on. We've been altered. Humans have been genetically created in some sense by something. It can't be natural. It's an impossibility for natural. The vast deserts of DNA, you know, are purposeful. That is there for, you know, those vast areas of nothingness is there for a reason. Now, I don't know if it's designed for occupation one day by something else. A source comes along and occupies us. I do not know. We're still using only partial parts of the brain that we think. All the rest is vacant. But why is it there? Because the body would naturally get rid of something it doesn't like or doesn't need, like your appendix or your small fingers getting smaller and smaller, and so on and so on. And the thing is, the body doesn't need it. The body gets rid of it. It's a natural process of how we function. But the brain hasn't got smaller. Got larger, and the occupational amount of brain that we have and not use is equally as large. What's it there for? Is it there for one day that we get switched on? I hope so.
Speaking of that, what's your opinion of junk DNA?
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah.
Well, it's not junk DNA.
What is it?
It's meant to be like that. You know, they call it junk DNA because you can't work it out. No, well, it's got this junk DNA. It's just a word they give it, junk DNA.
Right.
But it's there. It's got meaning. It's there for a reason. It's the telltale sign signature of manufacture.
Okay.
It's like looking at a computer and seeing the sign on the front of it saying Dell.
Yeah. Okay.
Dell was here.
Right.
You know, it's telltale signs of manufacture. It's not junk DNA.
Okay.
It's just part of the process. But the fact is that we are designed to be functioning like as if we need a co-pilot. Think about that.
Wow.
There's enough room in our brains for something else easily because we're not using it all.
We're not. A co-pilot? You mean God is my co-pilot? Is that what you're suggesting?
Source or something.
An open chair next to you when you're driving.
Wow.
You know? Is it because there's going to be a switch on at some stage? And that we become so enlightened that we require the other parts of the brain. But it doesn't look that in parapsychology. When we see elements of people that have telekinesis or psychokinesis, telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, and I can feel off 1,000 in the list, but it all functions within the parts of the brain we use. None of it's working in the brain part we don't use. So what the hell is that for?
Right.
And this is the problem, because we don't know. And it's as if, like, is that ready to be switched on one day, or is it ready for occupancy? I don't know.
Occupancy is such a strong word. Wow.
Well, you know what? You always question about people that, might do serious wrong. And you sometimes people have said I was influenced, or voices told me to do it, and things like that. We can't rule that out, because now we know transplacement is real, that the phenomenon can talk to us in our heads.
Right.
And if it does, it drives us potty eventually. We give ourselves to it eventually.
It can paralyze us.
It absolutely can. And we can put that down as something completely different. Oh, well, it's schizophrenia, it's this, that, and the other, it's da-da-da-da-da. It's a dark area you get into when you start looking at illnesses. And in third world countries, schizophrenia was treated as possession, was cured on many occasions in third world countries. How can that happen? So it's all down to how we perceive, but it's odd. There's a lot of things. I like to tip up reality, and I'm not making anything visible. It's already there. I'm just illuminating that this is your world. This is my world. We're all in the same place. And this is what it consists of. All I've done is just put a spotlight on it and said, well, here we go. You know about this. Look at that angle. I don't know. The thing is, we've got to push so hard. There's so many boundaries we've got to get through. But we're chipping away. We're chipping away at the block, because paranormal mechanics is revealing things to us that we never realised. We thought, oh, hang on a second. Why don't poltergeist phenomena, when you're looking at stuff, moves? Why is it only when you take your eyes off it flings through the sky or flings through the air? Why do you never see it move from its first or initial resting point? Because we quantum lock it. Because it's locked in a quantum lock with us. It's the double slit spell.
I was just going to ask you that. You literally read my mind. You literally took the thought out of my mind.
That's it. And when we observe it, it changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we reverse it, we lock it. We're locked it in. We're watching it, it's locked. That conscious connection, we're locked. We locked it in. Did we just see that cushion move? We're looking at it? No, it didn't. So I release it.
And then it does something.
We are learning so much about the world around us. Slowly, we're chipping away at the block and learning new things. And it will eventually get into places where it's going to force new research into quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's got to go. Getting there is a struggle, because we have to deal with belief systems and religion and all these other things, which is just clouded with everything. It's just people just put that aside, and what they think, and what they know, and everything. Just empty glass it, right? And just fill it up with what you think is best, and it will not turn out the same as what they initially had to begin with. Everything around us, the church is manipulated us. I mean, the Catholic faith is Sumerian and Egyptian. The Lord's Prayer is an Egyptian prayer of a pharaoh. Since when do you have a kingdom? Our kingdom will come. Will it? I don't have a kingdom. You'll have a kingdom. What daily bread were they eating? Well, I know what daily bread they were eating. They were eating, bread cakes every day with maltose powder in them, with muscat in them to communicate with the deities, to take them to that spiritual
With
plane.
what in it?
Oh, muscat.
Okay.
It's the name given for monatomic powder in Egyptian. Yeah, and they used to put it in bread cakes and consume it. Only the hierarchy, the pharaohs, the priests.
Was there a psychedelic component to that monatomic powder?
Some parts of it were, but it's a matter of opening a transition, DMT initiating transition through communicating with deities. And kilo occasions by consuming those things. It's been done in numerous different ways. You can do it through fasting, actually. You can cause chemical breakthrough, a breakthrough in chemical releases in the brain through fasting processes. The Native Americans used to do it, and other people in different countries used to do the same process and get the same way. It would allow them to spiritually communicate with the deities, with the gods.
And that's why you fast for 72 hours before you go to the...
No. I fast for 72 hours to rid the poisons of refined sugar in my body.
Yes.
Because what refined sugar does, it causes adrenal weakness. So my adrenaline won't kick in. My fight or flight response won't kick in. So when I'm out there and I need to recognize my own body to tell me where danger is.
Okay, I get it now.
You know what? There's whispers in the caves, in the darkness, and they'll tell you, and you know what? They'll lead you to your doom. They'll whisper and whisper, and to the point where you're going to take one more step. And you don't realize in the darkness there's a 300-foot drop hole right in front of you. And it's whispering your name. It's calling your name.
Oof.
When you realize, when you see through it, you realize what's there in front of you 300 feet down. It stops calling your name. These things can be deceitful. The influences can influence you. You know, they've happened many times. But the thing is that religion is not always the greatest thing. You know, it's taken us down different paths, different routes, and everybody seems to focus on different things. The problem is it's anything that can cloud the path to what the source might be. A source which has seemingly been interacting with us, had numerous components to it. What's it all mean? I do not know. But,
do you believe that we are part of this ultimate source, this compendium of metaphysical phenomena and knowledge? Do you think we're fractured from that, or are we separate from it?
I think we're directly connected with it. I think there's a global consciousness, and somehow we're all part and parcel of that string theory. You know, but
quantum entanglement almost.
Quantum entanglement, yeah, absolutely. What happens here happens millions of light years away from somewhere else. You know, we can affect everything, and then we're all part and parcel. And I think that's the reason why it strongly connects, because we are the root system of the plant, you know, in a sense of speaking.
Okay.
That's the best way I can sort of suggest how we be. And the thing is that it wants us to deliver what we can deliver. And when we can do it and be rewarding and have a flock and have people of interest and stuff like that, then it's, you know, the praise and prayer and faith of into something which we know is belief. And we know we can manifest that into real phenomena. Intelligent phenomena exists on its own. In other words, we can create a deity, in a sense of speaking, if we give it enough power. You know, so what happens when 100,000 people get together with the same belief system? You know, we put it into something. Could be anything. It could be a different name. It could be Buddha. It could be Allah. You know, it could be anything. But it's a deity. It's some sort. With multiple gods. We haven't got one god around the planet. We've got multiple. In fact, there's thousands, to be honest with you. Every religion, every culture, every society has different gods. In fact, sometimes more than one. And there's stories of, you know, communications with them. So are we dealing with there's not just one god, but thousands of different entities that are gods or deities. And to be honest with you, over 3,000 different varied entities traveling in UFOs to planet Earth from 3,000 different planets out there, which are all bipedal, and 2 arms and 2 legs and 2 eyes and a nose and an ears and a mouth.
Bilateral symmetry.
Yeah, well, you only got to go to the North Sea to see something. From the North Sea, you'll see something alien. You know, that's alien. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, it don't make any sense. It's the Star Trek episode theory, isn't it? Really.
Do you think that there's a lot of truth behind the whole Star Trek and Star Wars thing? Like, do you think that's a form of soft disclosure almost, to where there's more truth to it than what we really know? It's, you know, it's described as like fake and science fiction, right? But is it really?
Yeah, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind or E.T., resembling the mummies of Peru.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, I know. The mummies of Peru based on the thing, yeah. The thing is, the narrative is so much in Star Trek because it was swallowed by the community. So that's what they wanted because that's what they believed in. So that's what they created. A hypothesis of different entities going from different planets, all bipedal, 2 arms, 2 legs, the nose and naps, and so on.
Okay.
That's the narrative they wanted us to swallow. What is good is the fact that the technology that was provided back then is achievable. I mean, NASA have been working on a warp engine for the last 3 years. You know,
Yeah, the Alcubierre drive.
Yeah, and everything really. You know, we haven't got mastered the teleportation of human bodies yet, but I can certainly tell you we've mastered the teleportation of atoms from one location to another. You know,
so the MH370 video that is promoted by Ashton Forbes, do you think that's legit? I know it's kind of out there. You could have scoffed off.
You had to go there, George.
Yeah, I just have to. You know.
I know.
As a young person.
Exactly. They called the stealth fighter the most stealthy, didn't they? You know, no, not to the MH370 at all. No, no. There's a lot of dodgy stuff out there. I mean, including the alien mummies of Peru.
Okay.
But you know what? There's, like I say, 60% of the information that lies in the subject is dodgy. 40%, which remains truthful.
Yeah.
10% of that are misidentifications and misconstrues.
Okay.
Even about 30%. Out of that 30%, you're going to get 10%, which you would think is a real belter. And it's only because of that 10% I'm here. I would have given it up long ago if I thought it was all hokey, you know. But I'm witnessing the phenomena firsthand. Only when I got under its skin. Usually they get under our skin, but I got under its skin. And then it'll rear its teeth. And when it does that, then you go, hang on a second, no, I've upset somebody here. You recognise it. You have to kind of play ball with it, you know, because we don't press it too much. Otherwise, it will really turn and bite. But it keeps our eye on us. And myself and all the researchers involved in these programs, yeah. And we're always talking to each other. We talk to each other every week. We're on think tanks together. And we talk secretly together about, do you know what happened to me on Thursday? Or do you know what happened to me on Tuesday? You know, and it's an interesting conversation we have every week. You know, we all tell our little stories, get out of the way for the first half an hour about, well, what's gone on in your life for the last 30, you know, for the last week. You know?
Yeah.
So
you said think tanks, that's what you call them?
I'm on a number of think tanks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a member of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies. That's one of the big ones in America. Hal Puthoff is on that, Eric Davis, Jack Verley, and numerous other scientists. I'm in a number of other think tanks as well on a weekly basis. So some people who I've long worked with for long times, we can have conversations between ourselves about how we're affected by the work that we were involved in. It's more of a personal route. I know our crazy things.
I've had some things in my life
that
have happened.
Just crazy.
Now, Mr. Mera,
I was 11
Diana
the first.
Pasulka. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was 11 the first time that I remember having sleep paralysis and seeing the eyes stare at me. You know. And,
yeah.
It's always the eyes that stand out to the experiencers.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever experienced owls? Do you have any owl synchronicities by any chance?
I have a lot of synchronicities.
Synchronicity!
It never started an owl, actually. When I was 9, I went out into the back garden. We had a very large laurel tree.
Yeah.
Laurel bush. A laurel bush is very rubbery, very thick leaves. And you don't see any of the plants, just all leaves. And I used to go out there and I used to talk to a horse.
Okay.
A horse's head, white horse's head, would come through the laurel bush out the corner of the garden.
Oh wow!
And talk to me. It happened 3 or 4 times.
Saying what? What did it have to say?
just talking, or
he used to ask me questions. Actually,
really?
Okay. He used to ask me questions, a lot of questions. Yeah. I never got into. The only things I'd ask, like, well, who are you? I said, how did you fit in there? Yeah, just stupid stuff, you know, strange stuff. I had so many things when I was younger. I mean, obviously they're not as crazy as they are now. I used to be on the skirting board, on the bottom of the carpet. There used to be, I used to say a door. It used to open up in the wall. and it used to be a small figure that used to come and go like this.
Okay.
Wow.
I used to run. I used to run screaming out the room. It used to be like a small plump figure. It must have been maybe a foot tall.
Okay.
And
Wow.
like the wall went in, and he was like, he'd just come out of this hole and just go. No.
And you're like, nope, I'm out of here. Deuces.
You know what? My life's been crazy. And even to the point where, you know, the people who I live with experience the phenomena around me. So, yeah, I couldn't help it. But I did openly say, you know, when we first met each other, I said, look, you know what, my world's a bit crazy, and if you'll recognise your world become a bit crazy.
It's almost like that priest stopping you at the door saying, hey, are you sure you want to enter here? Because once you do, it's like...
Well, I didn't. And I don't, you know what? I wondered, obviously, what really was actually happening there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I wasn't what. And I almost left the subject in 1996 after being struck in the back by a poltergeist.
Oh, wow.
Really?
I saw that episode where you had scratches and bruises on your arm and your back.
That was the day I decided that was it. I'm out. I'm going to do something else. That'd be Phil.
But you persevered, though. So how did you overcome that?
What brought you back in?
Right.
At the time, it was like, I'm out of it. You know what? I can't protect myself against that. It was scary. I was petrified. You know, people say, oh, you must have been scared. Scared? He says, well, scared. I was more than scared.
Scared times 10, right?
Yeah. And I didn't know what to think. But when I got home, I was determined I was out then. You know, that was it for me. But when I got home and the day after, I was looking in the mirror and I could still see my bruises and that, you know. I just started thinking, you know, how did he do that? How does he do that? Is he physical?
Your curiosity took over then.
And just curiosity and adrenaline took over. And it just like, before I knew it, I was like, I need answers.
Yeah.
I just threw me back in it tenfold, actually.
Wow, okay.
I realised there's paranormal mechanics involved. That's when I realised back in 1996. And that's what I've been working on since then, paranormal mechanics, in the aspects of all those subjects, including cryptids. I do research on cryptids. You know, big experiments in cryptids about the fear pheromone tests.
You can smell fear, right? I was going to ask you about that earlier. Mm-hmm.
You can smell fear. There's evidence to point to that now through experiments that have been carried out. And they are parasites. They like to stress the vexation. They like to create what is referred to as a localized, anomalous environmental disorder of some sort. And what happens is it becomes like what is referred to in England as the Oz factor. It's like a dead zone.
Where like time almost stands still, right? Like the insects stop chirping, the birds stop making noise, right?
Yeah, well, under those conditions, what's being produced in the environment unaware to you is a very, very strong form of infrasonic sound, which the insects and the birds can all hear, and it's all predatory, and they fall silent. They don't like it. All caught in that, and then it's amplified. It's like times 10 amplified, and the phenomena produced, UFOs can produce it. The cryptids produce it. It causes confusion. It causes an induction of excessive fear. I mean, okay, people get a bit scared sometimes of the cryptid around.
But this is like fight or flight at its core.
This is terror. This is shaking in terror. Big strapping guys.
Wow.
And 5 of them, you know. The phenomena is literally torn into them and turn their fear frequency up to the point where they can't even function properly. And when they talk to me after the experience, they say, I don't understand why I was so terrified. I know this location, I know these guys, I know the air, and I could understand being a bit fearful. Yeah, I was wondering what this thing was, but I was absolutely terrified to a point where people froze. You know, we have the fight or flight, but it's something referred to as the freeze.
Freeze, yeah.
An old instinctual thing like rabbits caught in headlights.
Yeah.
You're just like...
It takes us back to the days when the saber-toothed tiger was hunting us. And what we used to do is because they're very predatory and they hunt on movement.
Just stay still, stop moving.
If you stop moving, then you're likely not to be seen. And that old instinctual fear comes up deep from within us. It's the last grab that we can hold on to, instinct. And we just freeze. And that is real core stuff. That is the real proper elements of terror, which really is so deep we really never really touch. And this is what these things can produce, you know. And we know that the metaphysical, these things, we know. We have them in the UK. There's no place for them to hide in the UK. Where are they going to go? You know, we've had these things seen in local parks where houses are around. It can't happen. Yet they are reported and seen. And there's a good evidence of them. We even have a strange animal mutilations taking place, you know. So it is odd. But there's plenty of research that we've done in that area as well, and we find the connections between those things. You know, these things are supposed to be predators. They're predators. You know, if you think you're being chased by a dogman or a werewolf, you know, they're predators.
Yeah. Right.
What's a predator do? Well, if you look down, essentially a predator will never go up the fight. It waits, it looks for the weak link, and it goes for it. When it goes for it, it keeps going for it. As best it can. Don't want to give up the fight, not to put so much effort and time in the waste of muscle moving into this. When it fails, it's got to go and do it all again. So it waits and watches, sums it up, knows it can win, knows it can get the goal, and goes for it. What happens in these incidents is that, you know, he's chasing 4 guys down a train track in Ohio. Now, it's not easy running down a disused train track. You can imagine one of them trips over, falls over. The others 3 think, oh, my best buddy's falling over. What did they do? They all carry on running. And you know what? They did carry on running. But then they turn around, they see the guys on the floor, and this thing's coming to him. This is like, it's described as about 9 foot tall. It's 4 foot wide on its shoulders.
Wow.
It's huge. It's got a massive head of a dog, fans, claws, you name it.
Talk about menacing.
Straight out of the horror movie. This thing's got screaming and growling, and it's chasing after him. One falls over on the floor. This thing gets right over the top of him. What's it do? Well, any predator will know what it does.
Finishes the job, basically, right?
Finishes the job.
Yeah, but the dogman just stops and elicits more fear, and then it's done, right?
Well, yeah, because it just kind of afterwards, it's like, well, okay, now what? And they do. You know, we've got 2 kids in, well, I say kids, they're teenagers. This thing chasing them, right? It's described as some type of dogman werewolf type thing. To this cabin, they're staying with the father. It's got a wood cabin in this forest. And they get in there, they shut the door, they lock the door. This thing is at the door and it's rattling the handle. It's doing what you would do to scare a young child. It's got over the handle, it's going, ah! You know, just to generate as much fear as possible. It could have come straight through the door, this thing, let alone the window.
But it wasn't about that. It was about eliciting that emotional response of fear, exactly. Right? Okay.
All the noise woke the father up upstairs. He was a no-nonsense guy. He wakes up, he comes downstairs and angry. What the hell is going on? What is all this noise? The teenager's saying, don't go near the door, don't go near the door. He gets over the hand and the screaming like, don't open the door, Dad, don't open the smell there. He opens the door, he comes face to face with this thing. They both pause.
Wow.
Locked on her, looking at each other. This thing then just takes off. And the dad's like in shock.
Wow.
The thing is, it's all about the fear. It's about generating vexation cycles, just like poltergeist phenomena does. You know, just a different map. That's all it is. And I try my best with some of the Bigfoot hunter guys, because I get it. You know, oh, they can't be because it's physical. Well, yeah, it will be. It's metaphysical. How many times have you had reports that you can hear them but can't see them? Oh,
right.
Well, you get footprints. Yeah. Well, we get footprints of paranormal stuff. Apparitions leave footprints behind sometimes, you know. Got prints of them, got photos of them. They open doors. They're physical in nature when they want to be, just as these can be. Why do we have over 6,000 cases of UFOs, Bigfoot connections? All you got to do is go to Chestnut Ridge. You go to Chestnut Ridge, there's 600 people up there will confirm what they've seen with UFOs and these Bigfoot. And yet, they try and steer away from that and keep it within a comfortable zone of, Well, they use the panda theory. I don't know if you've heard the panda theory. It's called the panda theory. They always use that. And the panda theory is that, well, it's true, actually. When they first found the first panda, taken in consideration, it's black and white. It lives in a forest of green. It walks very slowly. It only eats one type of food. How long did it take to find the next panda? 60 years it took. Because it is so non-humanly impossible to get in there. It's just, it's not that it's a hyper-elusive creature. It isn't. Just going about its business and walking around at 2 miles an hour and eating the same food. Black and white, lives in a forest of green. And at the end of the day, 60 years later, so they use that theory that, oh, well, this is just that it lives in places that we can't get to. It's hyper-elusive. I say, okay, all right, I get it. In some cases, a real physical creature may exist. I won't rule it out, but what I will rule in is that if it isn't metaphysical, then it's a phenomenon that is, which is replicating itself as Bigfoot, Dogman, werewolves.
Wow.
What about shadow
Skinwalker.
people, Mr. Mera?
The shadow people is just a new name for the jinn. Exactly the same. Smokeless fire.
Smokeless fire classic.
Exactly the same phenomenon, and you deal with it in exactly the same way the Middle Easterns do. They wear hematite to get rid of them. 90% mostly iron, actually, in that. Iron they don't like, especially the jinn type stuff, shadow phenomena, Hatman phenomena, same thing. You just deal with the same thing. It's funny how they all don't like the same taste of tea. Oh, it's not my brew. I don't like it. I don't like that. And it's funny how you don't like that as well, do you not? Oh, right. Well, you know how to press those buttons, and sometimes the island of all the world have been all over the world. Ireland is traditionally the one for me where the most phenomena lies, and it is tremendously vast, the phenomena there, and very much still active. More so than any other place I've been in the world. It's just crazy.
Where?
And
Ireland.
Ireland.
Okay. And there are towns there where people know this goes on. Small towns and villages. Nobody speaks of it because you're an outsider. They'll never talk to you. You'll never know.
Is the geomagnetic positive energy there strong in Ireland?
Well, there are some areas which are strong, and there's a negative one, but this ancient island in Ireland, the ancient side of Ireland, I mean, it's older than pyramids, these structures that they have. Some of them are active at times of the setting sun. And when I would say active, they start to come alive when the sun sets. And there are crazy things that you see and crazy things that you hear. And the town folk know this. It's not just an odd thing that happens now and again. It's a regular thing. The town folk know about it. They don't want to go up there, but they don't talk to outsiders about it. They keep it. And it was only about 40 years ago when the last curfew took place in Ireland, because they used to have a curfew at 9 o'clock at night because they come out, and you don't want to be outside when they're around. And
a fake curfew.
The fake curfew. It was 40 years ago. Was the last one filtered out in Ireland.
Fairies.
Yeah.
The fairies. There are actually a lot. More than just the fairies, but the phenomena is extremely old and vast. I mean, they've got accounts there in Dublin that reference in like 1603, a flying train was seen over the fort. A fort was a river or small lake. That's why it's listed as an island. A flying train was seen over the fort and descended upon the fort, and there was a loud hissing sound as it entered the fort. It was full of white people, and it descended into the fort and beyond. Nobody knew what it was. I'm thinking to myself, why did it say full of white people in 1603?
If it's in that type of cultural environment already, they must have been a paler form of white or something, right?
They were seeing something odd. It was like a flying train. Well, it was obviously shaped like the rectangular, but it must have had windows. And when it descended into the lake, it hissed as if it was hot, and it entered into it and beyond. What's beyond? These are stories, and they're not just one. There are hundreds of these. And it's no different than the ghost rockets of the 1940s descending in the sky. Exactly the same thing. You know, so the phenomena never changes. The mass does, but the phenomena doesn't. So, but it is all encompassing, and when you actually start getting into one, you'll see how it crosses over into another. And we've done some amazing experiments. We've had things move. Things manifest. I mean, in Skull, they had a newspaper apport appear. That apport aged. It was a real newspaper from 1934. There were actually two newspapers that apported there. One, but the 1934 newspaper, which was analysed, which ink was from 1934. The paper was 1934. It looked like it was original, just come straight off the press, looked brand new.
Even the ink.
And analysed everything, all original from that time. And the thing is that the age of the paper was very fast because it was kept in our environment and our reality in a glass case out of UV light. It browned very quickly. Analysts looked at it and aged it. And it was aging 500 days per day until 1990. It aged 500 days per day, approximately, from that reality to ours. And now there are several CERN experiments taking place, which apparently involve a mouse being pushed through a small hole into another reality, trying to keep it alive. And the only way to do that was surround it in argon gas. It did manage to live for a short period of time, but it died. And when he realized why it died, a day and a half later, was rapid age growth, rapid age cells. The argon gas was the only thing that could keep it alive for the duration of a short period, a few seconds in another reality. That's what CERN's getting into. The fact is, it's no different than the reality of the apported stuff from the Skull experiment. It seems to be the same thing. So when you cross-reference all these different things, you start to realise that there's a lot more going on that meets the eye regarding some of these things.
Apparently, yeah. So you said that fear almost kept you from studying this in 1990 something, right? But you've pursued and you've, consistently continued to do this. What are you working on now? Like, what are your most current undertakings and what kind of things do you have coming up that we can look forward to?
Well, I'm still working on Project Doorway. We're 6 years in, but we're still...
Love that series. Thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We are just getting our hands on some new pieces of equipment. One of them is an anomalous environmental radiation meter. It's a meter with a screen that records. So when you walk around, you can see pockets of radiation because some phenomena, when it manifests, even if you've witnessed it or not, leaves footprints behind. Footprints in a radioactive area that we would not recognize. Even it could just simply be a 1 foot area. You might just walk through it. You would never know. But it leaves a footprint of phenomena, and it can be seen on the screen and recorded, photographed. So, it's we're always looking at it. Yeah, they're expensive, these things. It takes time to get hold of. But all we're trying to do is get equipment to act like our ancients, that we can see more and hear more.
Yeah, expand our perceptions.
We're just so limited, but this phenomena knows we are. It knows us to a T that I'll just manifest outside your eyesight. I'll just manifest outside your hearing capabilities. It knows our parameters very, very well. And the reason is because we're probably designed like that purposely. Because like I say, we've gone backward. We're limited more than we should be advanced. And everything else is better than us. And some people do. I've heard people say, I take my pet dog on investigations. Well, good. It acts as an accessory.
It's like a biosensor, kind of like what they did with the llamas on Skinwalker Ranch.
It's a great idea. I love it. I think it's a great idea. I think, if you can rely on expanded sensory through your dog, then fine, brilliant. It's great. It's an extension upon where we're limited to. But I'm working on Project Doorway. I've just done a big project for a TV show. Can't name the TV show.
Okay.
But it's the biggest in America. It's usually on Netflix.
Encounters with Steven Spielberg.
It's been going for about 30 years, if not a bit longer. It's had several hosts to it. and it covers.
Gosh, you've got my brain like.
Yeah, it covers the
cosmos.
It covers UFOs. It covers the paranormal. It even covers missing people.
Oh,
as well.
unsolved mysteries.
Mysteries.
But I can't tell you what the name of the show.
But we can infer.
But I've just finished a big production with them, and that's out in the summer on Netflix.
Okay,
Wow.
I'll be looking forward
So
to that for
excited.
sure.
And it's about me working with somebody who has an attachment, and what that attachment is.
Okay.
Okay.
You'll find that very, very interesting.
Okay.
We'll have to get you back on after it airs because I'm gonna have some questions for you, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm looking also to be doing a docudrama series soon, a three-part docudrama based similar to one that was called the Enfield Poltergeist. This is going to be the Rochdale Poltergeist, which is a three-part drama series. So I'm doing that. Then I've got 3 expos for next year to do. Plus I've got numerous other filming projects in between all that different bits.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I'm writing a book also at the moment as well, so I'm chipping away at that. Yeah, it's just my life. It's just
well, when's the next time you're going to take a trip across the pond?
Right.
I'm next there. I was supposed to be there at the end of December, but I had to change the dates on that, so I'm going to be there in the new year. I'm going to be in Miami.
Oh,
we're in Florida.
Yeah.
We might take a trip down there.
Yeah, we should come see it.
I'm in Miami, and then I'm going over to Sacramento.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of things to do there. So that's the next time I'm across the pond.
So what's in Miami? Because I want to see if we could go there. Like, what's happening?
Miami. Yeah, I'm meeting up with Billy Carson.
Oh, Forbidden Truth.
Yeah, you know Billy?
Well, I know of him. I don't know him, but yeah.
personally, but
Yeah.
we would love to interview him.
Shout out, Billy.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
sorry if you can hear my dogs right now. I apologize.
No, he's great, Billy. I've been working for him for a bit now, and we're good friends, so I'm going to be meeting up with him. So interesting times there. So yeah, all sorts of different things. The research is continuing. Experiments, we've got some experiments to conduct. These are going to be environmental experiments out on location.
Okay.
Sometimes the ones we conduct at equinox and solstice, sometimes we just have to wait because it only comes around once a year.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
The last time we were there, we got some experiments were carried out by my colleague Barry Fitzgerald. We had what is referred to as anomalistic sounds from somewhere else, drum beats, rock movements, wasn't coming from our side. That was the double knock system on solstice.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier, yeah.
In an ancient cairn. And these things are older than the pyramids, some of these places, and they're designed to do so. But some of them are still active. Though that the ancients themselves did destroy 70% of their own, What is left today are the remnants of what was a much bigger around the world, but nearly every culture in the world, ancient culture, destroyed 70% of their own locations where they were talking or communicating with deities.
Wow.
The reason being, I believe that's probably something went wrong, or they realised something wasn't good, or whatever. I don't know what happened, but destroyed 70%. Out of what remains, not all of them are still active. Some of them have lost.
Bless you.
Don't fit in properly the situation, the times now, but some of them are still very much active, especially in Ireland. Very active, still active, even after all this time. Which is really, really interesting. It's like the untouched world, really, in some places, Ireland. So that's what I've got a lot on. But it's what I enjoy. Keep myself busy. I've got a few lectures to do around the world. I've got a big one coming up this December as well with Neil Gall. And I'm supposed to be going to Barcelona next year as well to do the International World Congress. It's like 26 different guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The problem is when you lecture there, is you say your thing, and you lecture. If you want an hour lecture that you're going to only talk for about 30 minutes, half your lecture's wasted in transcribing, and what you're saying, because I'll talk, then some guy will say it in Spanish, then another guy will say it in German, and another guy will, and I have to wait.
Like 10 minutes later, you can make another statement.
10 minutes later, I'm like, I can get to the next phrase. So it's a difficult when it's arranged like that, but it's the world's biggest, and I said I would do that for him. Professor, what's his name now? Professor Michikaku was on there.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've went to one of his lectures.
I haven't met him, Michu, so I'd like to. I'd have a few interesting talks with him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Mr. Mera, you've got quite an adventure that you're living day to day in terms of understanding the phenomena. My goodness.
I do. I love it. It's part of my life now, so I'm used to it. You know?
And your legacy will continue on. And for the audience out there that will be watching this, can you share with everybody where we can find your work and material?
Well, I did a TV series, and those usually have been sold off now to Reality Entertainment. They have their own website, so you can find at least 60 different documentaries I've done for them. There was a film which was called oh Christ, what was it called? Hammer Productions. It was. Can't remember the name of it. I've done so many different things.
It's all right.
It's okay.
On UAMNTV, you'll find Project Doorway. And there's another series coming to that very soon. Second series. The Quiet Ones was the movie from the Hammer Productions. The character in the film is based on myself.
Okay.
It's actually reviewed by me as well, so it's
cool.
It's quite interesting. The my main website is stevemera.com. But you'll find some details on Project Doorway there. When we have peer-reviewed documents, they go on there. So they've been peer-reviewed. It takes a long time for peer review, but they get peer-reviewed and scientifically wrote up. So
sure.
So details go on there. There is also Phenomena Magazine. .co.uk, phenomenamagazine.co.uk. That's where you can get the magazine. It's free. We don't charge for it. People say to me, how do you manage to get 1.8 million readers around the world? I said, because it's free.
People can afford free, right?
It's the truth, because, why do people pay for magazines? I wouldn't. I'll be honest, I wouldn't. I'd just go on YouTube. I'd go look on YouTube, go look on the internet, sell some money. It's free, and the whole reason it's free is because we use it for networking and delivering information on a monthly basis. And the good thing is that every single one is all available in the archive to download for free. Right back.
Thank you for that. Many thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
75, I think we're on now. So, we're you can obviously get your magazine and details and bits and bobs. There's details on there about our expos that are going to be coming up, Awakening Expo.
Okay, cool.
But you can just put Awakening Expo into Facebook and you'll find
Awakening Expo. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll find me, Steve Mera. If you Google Steve Mera, you'll find me.
And you also have an incredible UFO or UAP field investigations manual, which I am ordering, by the way.
Yeah, it took. We went to. I mean, you know what? I go to the. Well, you want information? You go to the horse's mouth, don't you? As they say. I went to the leading experts around the world, just to tell me about what their views were in their specific area of interest and research that they've been working on, and brought that into the course. But it's the paranormal aspects of ufology in there, and that's what all the other courses miss. In fact, the MUFON course, well, I can't go into that much detail, but let me just say it was outdated. The links weren't working, and the information was incorrect. So, but there's no paranormal. They just completely miss out the paranormal. Nothing. And I'm like, how do you do that? So it's very compartmentalized, and we just wanted to make sure we deliver the best course we can, including the whole aspects of the ufology in there, which we did. So it is the most concise one that's ever been made. We're doing one on the paranormal as it happens at the moment as well. The real proper side of paranormal investigation. That means not utilizing infrared technology. In fact, infrared technology adds to your problem, but that's in the course. I'll let you be explaining all that in the course. What you want to do is go ultraviolet and full spectrum, and stay away from the infrared. That's the biggest problem. The phenomenon identifies it like that and utilizes it like that. So,
good tip.
All that stuff is really fascinating.
Thank you, Mr. Mera.
Yes, thank you. What kind of well-rounded message would you like to deliver to our audience? If you had to give one little blurb of advice or knowledge or
for somebody just starting.
Yeah.
Just getting into this.
I would say that be careful what you read.
Okay.
Be careful what you see on the internet, because most of it is hokey.
Okay.
But there are real truths out there, so don't be disheartened. Part of the process of being interested in this subject is learning how to decipher through the minefield, the mess that our society has left behind in regarding hoaxes, sensationalism, stories. That's all they are. And you have to sift through them to find the good stuff. Don't stop doing that, because one day you pan and you'll find a big gold nugget. And sometimes those gold nuggets are worth looking for. And that's what I do. I do it. Why would people say, why do you do it? All that mess and all that disinformation and all those hoaxes and people wanting to believe anything really these days. That's because the good stuff lies out there, and I come across it. I find my way of finding these things, or they find a way of finding me now.
Okay.
And those nuggets reveal themselves, and they are out there. And there's it's a shame that those bits of information is lost. Most importantly, if you do, and I know it's exciting and I know it's fascinating, the subject, but if you do want to experience this firsthand, in a way which is slightly beyond your average ghost hunter, should I say, then heed some warning that, don't go into it blindly. Always go prepared. Starve yourself with refined sugar for 72 hours and be on alert. And listen, most carefully. Don't listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to what your body's telling you, because your body doesn't lie. And when it tells you it doesn't like something, then listen to it and act upon it. Don't ignore it. It's there for a reason. And that's why people sometimes end up having bad experiences, because they've not listened or weren't been able to listen to their own body tell them. And that's my bet. And keep going. Don't give up on the subject, because I know it's difficult. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, and people which are, I don't know, researchers that want to go do all the research and then not share it. I share everything, because I'm thinking to myself, why am I doing it if I don't share? I need to educate people. I need to get this subject back on its tracks. How am I going to do that? By holding this to my chest? Share the information. Give it for free if you need it. That's what's available. I understand that there's expenses involved. I understand that sometimes people have to spend money on fuel, spend money on equipment and things. I get that. I do. So I understand about getting your compensation back for expenses. I get it. People have to do that. But share.
Sharing is caring.
It is. I can't do it on my own, guys. I've done a lot, but I can't do it on my own. And I have to align other people and researchers, like Trey Hudson, who's doing a Meadow project at the moment. I don't know if you know that work, but you have to share stuff. I talked with the Skinwalker guys. Our team was there 3 years ago. Up at Skinwalker. So it's all about sharing. And without that, none of us are going to get anywhere. So just keep going. Don't be disheartened.
Thank you very much.
I like that message, Mr. Mera. And together, this is the only way, by working together and sharing information, just as how gracious you were with your time and wisdom and your experience in this field. We're going to continue the torch forward. Yeah, we're going to carry it forward for the next generations, Mr. Mera.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, that's all it's about. Keep it going. One day I'm not going to be around, and I'm hoping somebody else picks up the torch and carries on. Because one day we might find out, what we really is. Wouldn't it be really strange if we all just wake up and it was all a reality? We're all strapped to a bed.
Yeah, and we all wake up and
it's like a Black Mirror episode.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Well, thanks a lot, guys, for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Feel free to keep in touch with me, guys, if you want any.
Absolutely.
We
will,
Mr.
love to have you back on and talk to you again.
Send me your show over to me, and I'll share it.
We will, Mr.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
This is so awesome. Thank you so much.
Just call me Steve.
Okay, Steve.
He's only
Give respect where it's due, Steve.
No, just call me Steve. Don't want me to know yet.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, George.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you, Mr. Mera.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste.